Christopher Bullock's play, The Cobbler of Preston, seems to be the first to use the infamous quote, "It is impossible to be sure of anything but death and taxes." Judaism does not shy away from conversations about death, and indeed our sages think of Yom Kippur and even our wedding days as dress rehearsals for the day we might take our final breath. Our tradition encourages us to make arrangements in advance, choosing a burial place, preparing our wills, imperatives that come from this week's Torah portion. As Jacob understands he is approaching the final days of his life, he pulls his son Joseph aside for a conversation. "Do me this favor. Please do not bury me in Egypt. When I lie down with my ancestors, take me up from Egypt and bury me in their burial place." Jacob had many reasons for this request, and the sages of Jewish tradition debate whether he really didn't want to be buried in Egypt, as Rashbam says, imagining a bit of hubris on Jacob's part, lest the Egyptians be spared the plagues because of the presence of his body, or whether he really did want to be buried with his ancestors. Either way, we recognize in Jacob's conversation with Joseph the very human desire to choose one's final resting place. In days gone by, when the Jewish community lived in close proximity and frequently in the same village throughout one's life, the decision was a little bit easier than it is today. Families today may be buried in different places, and different generations are frequently spread out across the country, or perhaps the world. Have you thought about where you wish to be buried? Do you want to be buried where you currently live? Or have you moved around a fair bit and want to be buried in a hometown? What about family members who have passed away? Where might they be buried? Do your loved ones want to be near your gravesite for visitations or for peace of mind? As Jacob teaches us, the time to be answering these questions and sharing your wishes is while you still can. Think about it. Talk about it. Not to be morose, but to emulate the model set by our ancestor Jacob as a kindness to future generations.